Pay attention to Rachel Moran, 21 years old, walking home alone through the dark streets of Kingston upon Hull, England. She has less than 15 minutes left to live. Because Michael Little, 23, a social outcast watching from his window, is about to follow her into the night. On this day, Rachel wanted only to check on her beloved kittens. On this day, Michael decided to take everything from her. This is the story of one New Year's Eve that destroyed a family forever. December 31st, 2002. Across the United Kingdom, people prepared to welcome the new year with champagne, fireworks, and hope. Rachel Moran was no different. The vibrant young woman with blonde hair, standing at an impressive 6 feet tall, headed out to celebrate at a local pub with friends and her brother John. She was close to her family, the baby of 4 siblings, and had planned to spend the night at her parents' house on Hall Road after the festivities. Rachel had one defining quality that everyone who knew her remembered. She saw the good in people. She worked at a creche caring for babies, a job she absolutely adored. Right now, she was planning her future, ready to return to college in the new year to study catering with dreams of becoming a chef. She had just moved in with her boyfriend Mark Shepard, less than a mile from her family's home, and they had recently gotten 2 kittens she doted on, Speedy Tomato and Batman. She had no idea that her love for those animals would lead her into a nightmare. Around 1 o'clock in the morning, Rachel and John returned to their parents' house. Their mother, Wanda, was still awake, reading. John went straight to bed, but Rachel stayed up with her mom. Wanda suggested Rachel call Mark to wish him a happy new year. Mark was supposed to be at the flat they shared, looking after the kittens. But when Rachel dialed the house phone, it rang endlessly. She tried his mobile. A mutual friend answered. Rachel could hear party noise in the background. Mark had been invited out and had gone, leaving the kittens alone. Rachel wasn't just disappointed. She was frustrated and worried about the animals. Then Mark's phone credit ran out. She couldn't reach him anymore. Wanda assumed her daughter was going to bed when Rachel disappeared upstairs. But minutes later, Rachel reappeared. She had changed her shoes. She was heading for the front door. "I'm going home to be with the kittens and make sure they're okay," Rachel told her mother. The weather outside was horrible, cold and wet. Wanda immediately grew concerned. It was New Year's Eve. Taxis were nearly impossible to find. She didn't want Rachel walking home alone in the dark. As mother and daughter stood outside talking, a man walked past them on the street. Wanda was so worried that she nearly called out to him, nearly asked him to walk with Rachel to keep her safe. But something stopped her. She chose not to. Despite her mother's protests, Rachel set off. The walk to her flat was less than a mile. Wanda called after her. "Ring me as soon as you get home." "I will," Rachel promised. 30 minutes passed. No call came. Wanda dialed Rachel's mobile repeatedly. No answer. The home phone also went unanswered. Maybe she had gone looking for Mark, Wanda thought. But the minutes turned to hours. 2 hours had now passed since Rachel left. Still no word. Exhausted and hoping everything would be fine in the morning, Wanda finally went to bed. When daylight broke, Wanda's phone rang. She ran downstairs, relief washing over her. But it wasn't Rachel. It was Wanda, Rachel's sister, calling to wish her mother a happy new year. Wanda told her husband Ray and son John what had happened. John tried calling Rachel's mobile. The calls wouldn't connect. Then he tried the house phone. There was a glimmer of hope. The line was engaged. Someone was using the phone. Wanda called back 5 minutes later. Mark answered. "Is Rachel there?" Wanda asked. "No, she's not here. She was staying with you last night, wasn't she?" Mark explained he had been out all night and returned to the flat around 7 that morning. The kittens hadn't been fed. There was nothing to suggest Rachel had been there at all. Wanda and John rushed to the flat. Mark was right. Rachel had never made it home. This was completely out of character. Wanda knew something was very wrong. Within hours, they were at the police station on Priory Road reporting Rachel as missing. Detective Superintendent Paul Davison took charge of the investigation. The first question was simple but crucial. Was this something Rachel would do? Had she disappeared before? The answer was no. Trevor Watts from Humberside Police said it immediately. Something was seriously wrong.
And I said, your father will kill me if he knows I've let you walk home on your own. And I said, I can't even put you in the car because I've had a couple of drinks. She said, it doesn't matter because I'm all right.
More than 40 officers joined the initial investigation. Wanda mentioned to police the man who had walked past them that night.
And he was wearing a shirt in a similar colour to the blue one you're wearing today.
Detectives needed to find him. They also needed to speak with Mark.
I don't remember her talking to her either.
You don't remember talking to her at all? She won't have none of it, so I ended up going to my friend's house and because she didn't want to come. I got a bit upset with her.
There had been an argument between him and Rachel. Could he be involved? Mark's surveillance turned up nothing suspicious. His alibi checked out completely. He had nothing to do with Rachel's disappearance. This meant one terrifying thing. Rachel had potentially come to harm at the hands of a stranger. Her bank accounts showed no withdrawals. Her mobile phone had made no calls or texts. No clothes were missing from her flat. Police examined CCTV footage from the area. They found Rachel passing a place called Jackson's on Hall Road. The timestamp and direction gave them a specific area to focus their search. Police helicopters deployed. Dogs and their handlers combed the area. Officers on horseback joined the effort. The Humberside Police diving team was called in. The media coverage was intense. Rachel's family begged for any information about her whereabouts. Saturday, January 11th, 2003. Divers searched the Barmston Drain, a canal often used for dumping rubbish. They found something, a Nike trainer, similar to the one Rachel had changed into at her mother's house. The divers continued searching, removing rubbish layer by layer. The next day, the drain revealed more. A handbag inside a bin bag. Inside the handbag were a mobile phone and makeup. One item revealed the owner, an Irish passport belonging to Rachel Moran. The handbag and its contents had been deliberately hidden. This wasn't accidental. This was foul play. Police conducted a reconstruction of Rachel's last known movements. An officer who resembled Rachel wore the same outfit and walked the same route. Several people came forward, but New Year's Eve drinking had blurred their memories. The appeal did provide new CCTV footage from a local school. The quality was poor, but a figure appeared in the top left corner. Officers believed this was Rachel. If so, she had been less than 200 meters from the safety of her flat. The footage also showed she had taken a darker route than initially believed. Then something else appeared on the screen. A figure running up behind Rachel. Could this person be responsible? Officer Trevor Watson explained that 99% of bodies are found within 1 mile of the last sighting. They decided to search every single home within 1.5 miles of Rachel's flat. More than 100 officers were drafted in. It became the biggest search ever undertaken by Humberside Police. The risk was enormous. The time and manpower required was staggering. But if there was even a small chance of finding Rachel, they had to take it. Tuesday, January 28th, 2003. The house searches began. Each team consisted of 3 people, a search specialist and 2 police officers. More and more houses were searched. Then Paul Davidson received a call in the incident room. The caller was a police officer. He was deeply upset and distressed. PC Steve Dennison and his team had searched 19 Nash Court. The owner was a young man. He had a friend visiting, another male. The flat was dirty and unclean, rubbish everywhere. The search was quick. The owner showed officers each room. No sign of Rachel. One last thing remained, the bin cupboard belonging to apartment 19. They asked the owner for the key. He said he didn't have one. Then he said he didn't know where it was. Then he changed his story again. Maybe the key was at his mother's house, he said. The officers found this odd. Why wouldn't he have a key to a cupboard he regularly used? They told him to find the key. Find it quickly. He soon did. He handed it to the officer and went back into his flat. The door finally opened. The cupboard was full of rubbish, carpet and boxes. They began removing everything. When PC Dennison turned back for more, his colleague had stopped moving. He was just staring into the cupboard. PC Dennison moved to see what had frozen his partner in place. Human remains in amongst the rubbish. After 4 weeks of searching, the hunt for Rachel Moran had ended. Her lifeless remains were found stuffed into the 3-foot by 3-foot cupboard, wrapped in a sheet, barricaded behind bags of rubbish. The flat was just 200 yards from her home. Both men were immediately arrested on suspicion of murder. The owner of the flat was 23-year-old Michael Little. His friend was named Mark Fuller. Mark immediately protested. He had no idea what the officers were talking about. Michael told them his friend knew nothing. Transport arrived to take Mark to the police station. PC, Steve Dennison, remained in the flat with Michael Little. Michael Little began to talk. PC Dennison wrote down his words. "I'm so glad you found her. I've wanted to tell someone for ages. It's such a weight off my chest. I saw the police stuff on the news and just hoped they came here. I've not told anybody else. Nobody knows. I can't be a normal person doing this. I must be evil or something. I saw her that night walking alone, so I went over and spoke to her. She came back here for a drink and we chatted for a while but ended up arguing. I think I walked out of the room or something, and when I came back, she'd gone into the kitchen and was stood at the side with her back to me. When I went near her, she turned around, and I saw a small blade in her hand. She struck out and injured me on my arm." He claimed self-defense. Wanda said she was relieved Rachel had been found, that they wouldn't be left wondering. Michael Little was taken to Queen's Garden Police Station. In his interview, PC Steve Dennison showed Michael the transcript from the flat. Michael said it was accurate. He signed it. Police pieced together his movements for New Year's Eve. He had gone out with friends. He attempted to talk to a woman he had a crush on. She rejected him and left with one of his friends. He ran into someone else and was invited to a party. He stayed until just after midnight, then decided to go home. When officers looked at his route, they realized something incredibly sinister. He had been the man who walked past Rachel and Wanda. The man Wanda nearly called out to, nearly asked to walk with her daughter and keep her safe. It was possible he had heard Rachel saying she was going to walk home. CCTV footage from outside Jackson's on Hall Road showed a male 3 minutes before Rachel came into view. Michael Little, the person seen in the school footage running up to Rachel from behind, was now believed to be Michael as well. He had been ahead of her. This meant he had likely hidden to allow her to pass, then set off after her. The postmortem results painted a picture of incredible violence. Rachel had been attacked 27 times in the back, head, and neck. Attacked from behind with a 12-inch kitchen weapon that was never found. She had no defensive wounds. Several wounds were so forceful they went completely through her body. Rachel's blood was found in the flat, suggesting she had been killed in the hallway. There was mud on the back of her legs. Evidence, Paul Davidson said, that she had been dragged across grass into his flat. There was no evidence she had attacked him. Detectives believed he may have tried to talk to her as she walked. She made it clear she wasn't interested in his advances. This would have been the second time he was turned down that night. In a fit of rage, he abducted her and took her into his flat before ending her life. Swabs showed she had been sexually assaulted. The decision was made not to arrest Michael on suspicion of sexual assault, as they couldn't be sure if she was alive or deceased when it happened. The block of flats where Rachel lived was opposite a children's playground. On the other side of the playground was Michael's flat. The route she always took to her parents went directly in front of his window, where he would often sit, staring or drawing for hours. It's believed he had likely seen her walking past before. On paper, Michael Little attended Greatfield Comprehensive School in Hull, where bullies frequently targeted him because of his weight. Students called him Podgy. He mainly hung around with his sister at school, who was 4 years younger. His father had abandoned the family. Michael said he was beaten and abused by his stepfather, who later passed away from kidney disease. Michael adored his mother. She and his sister were the only women in his life, but beneath that surface, something dark festered. As he grew into adulthood, he lived in various council flats that he would neglect and never clean. Neighbors thought him strange. He used most of his time to stay inside, take drugs, and watch adult content. One person who went to school with him said he would often take drugs, which made him unpredictable. There's always been something wrong with him. He has a pretty bad temper. He had few friends, but officers spoke to the ones he had. They mentioned his fantasizing about women and his claims of having a girlfriend, something they knew wasn't true. When they described the alleged girlfriend, Michael had said she was a slim woman standing at 6 feet with blonde hair. Details that matched Rachel. As for Mark Fuller, he was released without charge. It was determined he had absolutely nothing to do with Rachel's death. Friday, January 31st, 2003. Michael Little was charged with the murder of Rachel Moran. He entered a plea of not guilty. At Hull Crown Court, Michael Little stood in the box. The evidence was substantial. People wondered what kind of defense he could possibly offer. His story changed again. He said Rachel had agreed to be intimate with him back at his flat. Her murder, he claimed, had actually been committed by his friend Mark Fuller. He said that in a fit of rage and jealousy after discovering Michael being intimate with her, Mark had taken her life. He told the jury Mark had gone, in his words, absolutely crazy, using a large blade to kill her. He claimed Mark threatened to kill him and his family if he didn't take responsibility for Rachel's murder. Michael told the court he regretted not doing more to help during the attack. He claimed he was forced to clean up, get rid of the blood, and hide her body. I told him I was not going to help him, and he said I had no choice. I was extremely traumatized. I just didn't want to know. I just wished everything would go back to the way it was, he told the jury. On the witness stand, Mark was interrogated in a brutal series of questioning. He denied playing any part in Rachel's murder. He told the court he had gone to a party in the city before going to his mother's house in the early hours of the morning when Rachel was killed. Mark was not charged with any offense. There was no evidence linking him. He had an alibi. This story was nothing more than a desperate attempt by Michael to pin the blame on someone else. Prosecutor Jeffrey Marston QC called Michael's story a pack of lies and said it didn't stack up to the strong evidence presented. When the details of Rachel's injuries were read to the court, members of her family left the public gallery in tears. The prosecution presented everything. Michael making several excuses about the cupboard key, the CCTV, her handbag being disposed of, her blood in his flat, the lack of any injuries on Michael, the inconsistencies in his stories. It was a very strong case. The jury deliberated for 9 hours following the 3-week trial. The longer they were out, the more worried police became. Detective Superintendent Paul Davidson feared he would be found not guilty. Wanda had attended the entire trial but couldn't go into the courtroom for the verdict. As silence fell, the verdict was read. Michael's defense had not swayed the jury. He was convicted of murder. Michael Little showed no emotion. The hard work and dedication of police had finally brought her killer to justice. Paul Davidson said, "If we had not found the body, Rachel's grave would have been that 3-foot square cupboard." Before sentencing, a letter written by Wanda was read to the court. She referred to herself as a physical wreck in the wake of her daughter's murder. She said her husband Ray, Rachel's father, had been left destroyed. "For my husband Ray, it has destroyed him, and at times he has felt he has had nothing to live for. The loss of Rachel has severely traumatized my family. Life will never be the same again. We have not just lost Rachel, but lost part of each other." When her family came out of court, Rachel's older sister Carrie said, "We feel no elation, only emptiness." Her boyfriend Mark said in a statement, "My biggest regret is that Rachel was taken from me and I didn't get the chance to say goodbye. I still can't and don't believe that Rachel has gone." Mr. Justice Hooper said Michael's attempt to blame an innocent man showed he had a lack of concern for the truth and a total lack of remorse. He added that Rachel's murder had been totally destructive to her family. He said he would write to the Home Secretary recommending a minimum tariff be set for the life sentence. In 2007, High Court Judge Mr. Justice Beaton set Michael Little's minimum term at 25 years. In 2010, it was reported that Rachel's sister Wanda had passed away following complications from chickenpox exposure. Due to complications from diabetes, she had lost both of her legs and was partially blind. Ray and Wanda said she never recovered from Rachel's death. They believed she had neglected treatment from the moment Rachel disappeared until Michael Little was convicted 10 months later. Ray said Michael took away part of Wanda on that New Year's morning. "That full year I put down to Michael Little." Wanda was later buried next to her sister. Detective Superintendent Paul Davison, who led the investigation into Rachel's disappearance, retired from the police force in 2012 after reaching the rank of chief superintendent following 30 years in the job. New Year's Eve is for many an evening to look forward to, a chance to be with those nearest and dearest and look forward to whatever awaits in the coming year. This was no different for Rachel. She was someone whose life was just beginning, clearly filled with so much promise. Paul Davison later wrote a book about her case, simply titled Rachel. It was published with the blessing of Wanda and Ray. He remained in contact with them and spoke of their strength in dealing with such loss. They are incredible people. During the investigation, I got a glimpse of the impact losing Rachel had on them, of that gut-wrenching sense of loss. Every second is like a lifetime of pain for them, and it's never going to end. They have shown such incredible fortitude and strength throughout. Rachel Moran's story is one of a young woman with everything to live for, whose final walk home led her into the path of evil. Her legacy lives on in the memories of those who loved her and in the determination of the investigators who never gave up until they brought her home.